So you may or may not have heard of the Magic format Historic. Every card that has been legal on Arena Standard at one point, you can play in Historic. Historic is sort of the answer to the question, like, what do I do with my cards after they rotate? Arena doesn't have a way to, like, dust your cards like Hearthstone, where you can trade in your old cards for new cards. You just have those old cards forever, and so it's like, well, what do I do with these now that they're rotated out of Standard? And the answer is Historic. But not only does Historic have all the cards from old Arena Standards past, they also inject new cards in the format to kind of make it more interesting, give it a little more variety, so it's not just the standards you're kind of already tired of from a few months ago. Cards like Imperious Perfect. This card has not been in Standard for a good long while, was never in Arena Standard, but they injected it into the format in the form of one of the Historic anthologies. And Imperious Perfect is sort of the cornerstone of the deck we're playing today, which is budget blue-green Historic Elves. So Imperious Perfect is a 3-mana 2/2, and the most important line of text is, other elves you control get +1/+1. This means Imperious Perfect is what's called in Magic terms a Lord, meaning it buffs other creatures of the same type. So it's an Elf Lord. It also has a pretty good activated ability as well. We can pay 1 green mana to create a 1/1 green Elf Warrior token, and actually that's going to be a 2/2 with Perfect on the battlefield, and it's an uncommon. And that's the other really cool thing about this version of Budget Elves. We are playing only rares that are legal in Standard, so you don't have to go and spend a bunch of rare or mythic wild cards on Historic only cards. So Beast Whisperer is where we spend 4 of our rares. We'll talk a little bit more about him because he's another corner piece for our deck. Our other 2 rares are Wildwood Preserver and Pelt Collector. So we've got 8 rares in all, but they're all cards that are in Standard. The only cards we're pulling that are specifically Historic only, cards like Elvish Visionary, cards like Imperious Perfect, these are cards that are uncommon, so you don't have to spend any, expensive wild cards on this deck. Anyway, like I was saying, Beast Whisperer is sort of the cornerstone of this deck. It gives this deck a lot of longevity, allows us to rebuild from Wraths, means we can just like deploy a lot of creatures without actually losing our hand. Sort of the downside of like tribal aggro decks is like, okay, you play out all your goblins or whatever, then you're putting Wraths and you lose. That's a very common play pattern, but with Beast Whisperer, we can drop Beast Whisperer, start playing our threats, and every time we play a threat, we're also drawing a card, so we sort of never run out of action. We can kind of continue to spiral and spiral and spiral, draw more and more creatures and lands, and eventually just finish things off with something like a Overcome to pump all of our creatures +2/+2. We're kind of running this because the other Elf Lords are rares and only in Historic. so this is sort of our quote-unquote Lord backup, but really it's just a way to, once we kind of flood the board with a bunch of creatures like Elvish Visionaries, like Pelt Collectors, like Wildwood Trackers, etc., then we can, once we've flooded, drawn a bunch of cards, put them all out on the battlefield, gone really wide, we can just overcome and kill our opponent on the spot. Imperious Prefect does that a lot better, because basically she does the same thing. She gives us a payoff for flooding our board with creatures, but also is a creature herself, so it kind of helps with that anyway. And another Historic only card we're running is Distant Melody, and this is basically our copies 5 through 8 of Beast Whisperer. It kind of accomplishes the same thing. Distant Melody is a 4-mana sorcery that says, choose a creature type, draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. So we play Distant Melody, we choose Elf. If we have 5 Elves on the battlefield, we draw 5 cards. And again, this is just a way that we can sort of rebuild in a way that a lot of tribal decks can't. Having 8 copies of Distant Melody means we're sort of just like this card advantage engine. We get to build up this huge board, draw a bunch of cards either before or after with our Beast Whisperer or Distant Melody, and then once we have all those creatures on board, we have our Lords, we have our Overcomes to kind of finish things off. And that's basically the idea of the deck. We just want to go super, super wide, put a bunch of Elves on the battlefield, draw a bunch of cards, and just smash them with Overcomes, smash them with our creatures pumped by Lords, and just kill our opponent with a bunch of creatures coming at their face. So besides that, we have our 1-drop Elves. First of all, we've got Llanowar Elves, just an extremely powerful card. It's still legal in Historic. Very powerful, just go turn 1, Llanowar Elves, turn 3, you get to make a 3-mana play, like play our Imperious Prefect, play out, another 1-drop and a 2-drop, just having, a creature that we care about. Llanowar Elves is good in decks that just want it for the mana, right? Decks that just want to go from 1 mana on turn 1 to 3 mana on turn 2, but we get even more of that because it's an elf, so it's going to benefit off of our Imperious Prefects and all of our tribal benefits. We also have Pelt Collector. This is, again, where we spend a couple of our rares. Just a good 1-drop. Every sort of aggro tribal deck needs kind of a critical mass of 1-drops. If we have it on the battlefield, play a Paradise Druid, it's going to get a counter on it. If we have it on the battlefield and like a big Wildborn Preserver dies, we have to put a counter on it. So essentially it's just going to be like a 1-mana 2/2, 3/3, maybe 4/4 in the best case. It's not like super powerful like it is in some Gruul decks, kind of as a threat on its own, but it is an elf, so it benefits off of all of our tribal benefits. It gives us card draw, so we're not super focused on putting counters on, a lot of counters on it. We typically want to put like 1 or 2, and then we just want to benefit off of the tribal benefits besides that as a good kind of 1-drop 1-drop aggressive creature. And then our other 4 1-drops are Wildwood Tracker. Wildwood Tracker basically is a 1-mana 2/2 if you have a non-human on the battlefield. Whenever it attacks or blocks, it becomes a 2/2. So 1-mana 2/2s are just very powerful in tribal decks, especially tribal aggro decks, because if we play this and then we play our Imperious Prefect, it's actually a 1-mana 3/3. Being common is pretty nice for a budget too, so Wildwood Tracker is actually pretty good in our deck. Elvish Visionary, this is probably the best card in our deck, believe it or not. The card, it's just hard to overestimate how powerful these cards are in tribal decks. Cards like Elvish Visionary, cards like Silvergill Adept and Merfolk, these tribal cards that enter the battlefield, draw a card, replace themselves, so they don't cost you a card, but you get a body. Like on a whole, Elvish Visionary is a pretty good card. Enters the battlefield, draws you a card, you get a 1/1 out of the deal. 1/1s can chump, 1/1s can, but in our deck in specific, Elvish Visionary is even more than that, because it's not going to be a 1/1, it's going to be a 2/2, it's going to be a 3/3 if we have 2 Imperious Prefects, it's going to draw us additional cards with Beast Whisperer, it's going to be another elf on the board for Distant Melody, so it's going to be so much more than that, this 1/1 body we get, we can just do so many things with it. So Elvish Visionary is just one of the best cards, if not the best card in our deck, and a really great card, always fun to play with, and one of the great, that's kind of the cool thing about Historic, is you have these cards that aren't in Standard right now, but are kind of old favorites, Elvish Visionary, Llanowar Elves, that you kind of get to go back to and play around with again, so pretty cool. Paradise Druid it's just okay, it's just another 2-drop, has 2 power for our Pelt Collector, 2 power is pretty nice because it gets pumped up by our Imperious Prefect, and it can tap for mana. It can get us to 4 mana on turn 4 or turn 3 for our Beast Whisperer. It can get us Distant Melody. It's just basically the best 2-drop elf on our budget. There are better, like, rare 2-drops and such, but, for an uncommon, it does the job well. Wildborn Preserver kind of fills in the role of some other rares you would maybe want to play more if you were playing with historic rares, cards like Elvish Clancaller, where it's sort of another lore or another benefit for making a lot of mana, which elves can do pretty reliably. Wildborn Preserver kind of accomplishes the same thing. It basically gives us a payoff. If we just have a lot of mana dwarfs, we have a lot of Llanowar Elves, a lot of lands, we've Distant Melodied and drawn into a bunch of lands, we have Paradise Druids on the battlefield. Wildborn Preserver can basically get as big as we want it to. With all the mana we make, we get to grow this thing to big heights. It gives us a way to deal with threats like Questing Beast, gives us a way to go over the top of some really big threats, can clog up the board in a way we can't really with our little creatures, because we're pretty much a go-wide little deck. So this is our one sort of tall card that can deal with big things. And also just having flash and reach means we can blow things out sometimes, if we're up against like the mono blue flyers control deck, it's pretty good that we can flash this in and eat one of their creatures. But in general, it's just going to be an aggressive 2-drop. In game 1, the flash usually isn't super important, but in games 2 and 3, having Ether Gust, having Disdainful Strokes, having a bunch of counter spells on our sideboard, it's actually pretty nice to be able to hold up a threat and or a counter if we need to. So Wildborn Preserver is just pretty good. And we're actually running 4 main deck copies of Reclamation Sage. Reclamation Sage, I've just found it to be super good in the format. There's almost always something to hit between Golos, between Fires of Invention, between Wilderness Reclamation, etc., etc., etc. There seems to be always a target to hit with Reclamation Sage. It's kind of crazy. And even just like sniping an Omen or whatever in a Yorion deck for free and getting it, because this 2/1 body is good in our Elves deck. We're going to make it a 3/2 or 4/3. It's going to draw us extra cards with Distant Melody, So I've just found it. I actually started this at like 2 in my deck, and then I've just went up to 3, and then I went up to 4, and I've just found it to be really, really good in this format. Occasionally you'll run into a deck where it doesn't have any targets, and then you can just sideboard it out. But in a vacuum, it's pretty good. Sprouting Renewal is kind of our 5th copy. Sprouting Renewal also has some explosiveness to it, where we can go like, turn 1 Llanowar Elves, turn 2 we can play like 2 more 1-drops, and then also Sprouting Renewal, and then we just spit out so many elves onto the battlefield so quickly. It's kind of crazy. So having this Convoke threat that can eventually cost 0 mana just to spit out an elf is pretty good. But typically, it kind of serves the same purpose as Reclamation Sage, where it can hate on artifacts and enchantments, or it can give us an elf. Reclamation Sage kind of does both. Sprouting Sage only does one or the other, but it kind of does one or the other a little bit better than Reclamation Sage. So I'm running 4 Reclamation Sage, 1 Sprouting Renewal, but they're both pretty good cards. In my mana base, I am running some rare lands. I'm running 4 copies of Breeding Pool, 3 copies of Temple of Mystery, and 1 copy of Hinterland Harbor. Just to remind you that Hinterland Harbor and other buddy lands are legal in this format. They rotated out of Standard a while back, but if you do still have some in your collection, you can use them here. I would actually recommend using, if you do have the Hinterland Harbors, I would recommend using those instead of Temple of Mysteries. I actually didn't have a Hinterland Harbor and didn't feel like spending the rare wild cards on it, so I used the Temple of Mysteries I already had. But yeah, if you have the Hinterland Harbors, run them. If you don't, use the Temple of Mysteries. Breeding Pool, of course, is the best, and it's legal in Standard too. If you're lacking all of these, if you just don't have any rare lands, you can just bring in the End of the Battlefield taplands, Simic Guildgate. The other, like the End of the Battlefield tapped and gain you a life, green-blue land is fine too. You don't need that many blue sources in this deck because our only blue card is Distant Melody. We also have Paradise Druid, so just, you know, run 8-ish dual lands, maybe an island to grab off of things like Assassin's Trophy. But in general, just run as many rare lands as you got, and then just fill in the gaps with common or uncommon tap lands that, you know, go with the gain the life ones first, and then if you don't have enough of those, go with the guild gates or whatever. In the sideboard, we got 4 copies of Aethergust, just super good against like Gruul, against, you know, any deck with Nissa. Just, there's so much green in the format, right? And Aethergust is so good against all of that. It's also good against mono red, so running 4 copies because it's just very good in this format. Disdainful Stroke. This is more against like control decks, against Fires of Invention, against decks that have to kind of tap out to play a big 4 or 5 mana play, against, you know, anything with like a Wrath that's going to try to Wrath our board. Disdainful Stroke straight against that. Running 1 copy in the gate, just kind of a catch-all against control decks and combo decks and etc. Anything that's not creature focused negates pretty good. Destiny Spinner, this is against any sort of counter heavy deck. It makes our creatures uncounterable, so that means all of our elves, you know, if we can sneak it in, then all of our elves are uncounterable, can really mess up some counter decks, you know, that are trying to Teferi us out of the game or whatever. Mystic Dispute, another super powerful card that we're running 4 copies of, just super great against any blue decks, and even is not the worst card in the world against, you know, if you need to bring in some counter spells and nothing else really fits the bill. Just a 3 mana leak is not the worst card in the world, but you really want to bring it against blue decks, right? And it's just so backbreaking to be able to, you know, we get to play all these aggressive threats and leave up just 1 blue mana, and we can counter their big play. Just very powerful. And then Sprouting Renewal, we're running 2 more copies of this in the sideboard, so if our opponent does have some really artifact or enchantment based deck, you know, again, like Fires of Invention or Wilderness Reclamation or whatever, we have Sprouting Renewal to bring in, so we'll actually have 7 copies that are, they're basically sideboard cards, right? But they go straight with our plan as well, so it's really powerful to just have this incidental hate that we can pull in. Anyway, that covers it for the deck tech. We are going to jump into the gameplay. We're actually going to do a league, or I guess an event. I don't know exactly what it's called, but we're going to basically play a tournament where we try to win 5 times before we lose 2 times. So that's what we're going to jump into, just because they don't actually have like traditional historic that you can just play like without being in a tournament for some reason. You can play best of 1 historic, but not traditional. You have to be in like a tournament or ranked or whatever. We're just going to jump into a league like that. We'll see how we do with this deck. I may or may not show all the games. If, you know, if there's just some uninteresting games or whatever, I might not show them, but I'll at least show the interesting ones, and we'll talk about how we did in the league at the end afterwards. We'll also talk about potential upgrades to make to the deck at the end of the video. Cards you can spend a few more rare wild cards on if you feel like it, or if you already have the rare mythic cards that I talk about, you can just slot those in, slot some of these commons and uncommons out, you know, and we'll talk about potential upgrades to make at the end of the video. But for now, let's jump into the gameplay, and here we go. Game 1. Alright, playing some budget historic elves against Doug Sluggins, and we will play first. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much what we want, right? 1-drop into 1-drop into 3-drop. So yeah, we'll go Pelt Collector. I mean, if we draw an untapped land here, that'd be pretty cool too, because then we can go 1-drop, 2-drop. Okay, well that's what we're gonna do. Play Wildborn Preserver. Put a counter on our Pelt Collector and get in. And then next turn we can Prefect and get in for 6. Sure, opponent's just ramping. We've gotten off to a pretty dang fast start here. No, we don't have any extra mana, so get in with our creatures. All right, and we put our, I mean, our opponent's already kind of under the gun here. Still League Champion, sure. Okay, we will Elvish Visionary, draw a card, put a counter on our Preserver. Sweet, we drew a forest, so now we will go to combat, attack, and not with a Pelt Collector, just attack with a Wildborn Preserver. See if they trade with their Still Leaf Champion. Alright, they do, sure. But we get a Pelt Collector token out of this, or a counter rather, so we're still growing here. And then we can Wildwood Tracker and pass turn. If they play another big creature like Still Leaf Champion, okay, Brushwood Armor. Alright, so just a big Alright, we might still just swing in here, get in the damage we can. Go Temple of Mystery. Oars to the bottom. Play Paradise Druid. And I think we do just get in with everything except our Prefect here. Opponent can eat up our 4/4, sure. Got him down to 7. We can make a token with this Imperious Prefect. And then we're pretty live to draw on, like, a Distant Memory would be fantastic here. We just want to put our opponent under some pressure because they obviously are playing towards a bigger long game than we are. Okay, they got 6 mana. Paradise Druid, sure. Okay, they're just running all out the triple Paradise Druid? Okay, just a couple. Alright, we will make a token. Okay, that's a good draw. Elvish Visionary. These cards are so good in tribal decks. Oh, Reclamation Sage is so ridiculously good. Blow up the Blanchwood armor. Doesn't matter if the creature is hexproof. Go to combat, attack with everything except the Prefect. Are they just dead if we attack with the Prefect? Let's see. They block, block, block. No, they're still alive. So we'll hold back the Prefect. We can make another token with it, and I mean, we've got them under so much pressure here. They're going to need something crazy to survive this. Doug Sluggins. Yeah, Reclamation Sage. I've been extremely impressed with Reclamation Sage in this historic Elves deck. I started out with like 2 of them in my deck, I believe, and after playtesting a little bit, I went up to 4, just because it seems like there's always a target. Okay, our opponent just gives up. Opponent just says, you know what, we can't beat this, and lets themselves die. Alright, so our opponent is on some sort of mono-green ramp plan. I guess just mono-green Stompy. I kind of want to bring in Disdainful Stroke, but I guess Ether Gust is what we want to bring in. Go up the Ether Gust, go down a... Now that we're bringing in the Ether Gust, we'll probably go down the Sprouting Renewal, go down... maybe one of the Overcomes. Don't want to go down too many creatures. We want a Critical Mass of... Go down one of the Distant Melodies, and... Go down... I guess one of the Wildwood Trackers is fine. Yeah, we only went down... We kind of went down a Distant Melody, which is probably the best card in our deck, but we did it because you don't want to go down too many creatures in your tribal deck, right? Because everything is benefited off of having a Critical Mass of creatures, so we just like dropped 4 elves there. I think that's probably not good. We'll keep this. We got Elvish Visionary. But like I was saying, these cards like this, Elvish Visionary, Silvergill Adept, these kind of small bodies that just enter the battlefield and draw a card, in tribal decks they're so good. You just get a free body that doesn't take up a card. It's just ridiculous. Because, you know, a 1/1 is whatever, but that's going to be a 2/2 in your deck, a 3/3. You're going to get so much more value out of it than just a 1/1 body. And I mean, even just a 1/1 body is not the worst thing in the world. Alright, yeah, so our opponent's just on mono-green Stompy. I think we played the Wildborn Preserver here. Pass turn. Plan on Elvish Visionary plus put a counter on our Wildborn Preserver maybe next turn. Lovestruck Beast is something. Alright, yep. Another Reclamation Sage. Yeah. Elvish Visionary. Sure, put a counter on Preserver. Probably gonna have to take 1 hit off of this Lovestruck Beast, unfortunately. Draw. Oh. No attacks. Kind of makes me wish we hadn't put a counter on our Preserver, but we couldn't have known. Okay, questing. Okay, our opponent has the super aggressive start this game. Yep, they're just gonna get in. We are gonna just take 9 here. No blocks. But we can go wide or wider now. I think we go Reclamations. We can make Wildborn Preserver big enough to trade with the Questing Beast, but the problem is they just attack, or trade with the Lovestruck Beast, but the problem is they only attack with Questing Beast. And it has Death Touch, so even if we do make it big, we just kind of lose it. I think we're going to actually Reclamation Sage. No effect. Pay 1. Plan on trading this with the Questing Beast, and no attacks, and we'll just chump the Lovestruck Beast, most likely. And the Reclamation Sage is a little bit better of a body than playing the Llanowar Elves. Like, we could have gone Llanowar Elves, you know, put a bunch of counters. Well, Prey Upon off the top makes our plan a lot worse. Yeah, Questing Beast hits us. That's pretty brutal. Can't block it. Questing Beast is pretty good against us, specifically when we don't have a Wild Form Preserver. That's our kind of go-tall card that lets us deal with Questing Beast, but our opponent, yeah, got the Prey Upon there, which was perfect against us. I mean, we can Beast Whisper here, plus Llanowar Elves, which I guess is what we do. Just draw some cards, but we're getting pretty close to dead with this Questing Beast. We still can't block it. I'm going to need to get a big creature, which I don't know if we have time. Okay. Punch makes a lot of mana, sure. And pass turn. Yeah, opponent... It seems like being on the play is pretty important in this matchup. Us being on the play the first game, we were able to, like, very deliberately or very powerfully take them down, and this time we just... having this Love Struck Beast coming at us so early, plus this Questing Beast, has been pretty backbreaking. Okay, yeah, we will... Trade. You know what? Eat this. And chump. Yeah, go like that. Take 4. And it all comes down to this. That's not what we wanted to see. Alright, we're gonna have to just... I don't think there's anything we can draw now. Imperious Prefect, I guess, is the only thing that saves us. Oh, another Distant Melody. Alright, yeah, we're dead. If we drew a Prefect there, we would have 2 3/3s that could block the Questing Beast, I guess. Alright, so our opponent just put the pedal to the metal. Is there anything we can really bring in that'll help us, though? I mean, not really. These Reclamation Sages felt pretty bad. Just to have the Blanchwood armor, maybe they even brought that out because they saw we were running main deck Enchantment Hates. Maybe go down a couple of the Reclamation Sages, go up Wildwood Tracker, and yeah, run it like that. Alright, final game against Doug McSlugs over here. We will play first. Ugh. Oh, it's tempting with the Llanowar Elves. We're gonna keep it. The combination of this Temple of Mystery being able to scry plus the Llanowar Elves to ramp us into at least 2 mana makes me want to keep this hand. It is a little painful because we don't actually get to play our Llanowar Elves in the first turn. Definitely to the bottom. Just want lands at this point. Just want lands. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Lands. Okay, alright. So we are going to play this on tap, play Breeding Pool, play Wildwood Tracker. Oof, okay. And now we're up to 3 mana. I feel a lot better. We can start playing these perfects even if we don't draw any additional lands. If we do draw a land off the top here, we'll probably just Beast Whisperer and just start drawing a bunch of cards. Here, Pelt Collector. Okay, we will take this trade. We're going to trade our 1-drop with their 1-drop they actually put some effort into. Okay, and we do have 4... Yeah, we're just going to go Beast Whisper here. Just start drawing cards like crazy. So we just want pretty much all the 1-drops we can get here with this Beast Whisper on the battlefield. Okay, there's a Questing Beast. Ugh. These prefects will help us block it. Well, there's another Beast Whisper. I guess we do that. Right, play the Forest, and no attacks. And alright, at least I don't think there's anything else hasty they have in their deck, right? Because, besides this Questing Beast, so at least they shouldn't, like, put us too hard to the, uh-oh. Unless they put a Blanchwood armor on this Questing Beast. Okay, they're gonna Prey Upon. Sure, that sucks, but not the worst thing in the world. Sure, sure, sure. Now we're gonna have 5 mana this turn, though, so we can Prefect plus Wildform Preserver to actually... Ooh. Okay. Imperious Prefect, draw a card, play the island, and yeah, we're just gonna flash in this Preserver. Actually, I guess we have to do it like... Huh. We're actually gonna just play the Prefect. Okay, Ether Gust is nice. And no attacks. We are just gonna trade this Questing Beast with the Beast Whisper to stop taking so much damage to the face We have gotten a number of cards off the Beast Whisperer anyway, and we can always draw into a Distant Melody to refill our hands. Our opponent probably doesn't have that much card advantage, though. Once we deal with their threats, they're going to have to be just top decking to pull more threats. And they do have more powerful threats than us individually, so they do top deck better than we do, but I think we still want to make trades here to stay alive, you know? We don't want to just be taking a ton of damage to the face. Opponent's thinking about what to do. It isn't clear here if they should attack in or not. They probably want to keep attacking, primarily because Questing Beast is a legendary creature. Carnage Tyrant, alright. Now they definitely want to keep attacking. Put as much pressure on us as possible. And make a 1-1, sure. We do have this Ether Gust, sure. Yep, we're going to trade. Sure, trade with Questing Beast. I think we actually kill this Steel Leaf. As you know, it sucks to lose the Prefect, but I think we do it. Right. And let's see. We will go Wildwood Tracker and Prefect and plan on, yeah, and pass the turn. No attacks. We can trade with this Carnage Tyrant here if we need to, although we prefer not to. Sure. Opponent attacks. And we're gonna definitely just take this. Sure. No attacks. No blocks. Take 7. Sure, opponent makes a lot of mana, does Lovestruck Beast, Paradise Druid, sure. We're going to Ether Gust the Lovestruck Beast. We put it back on top. Ooh, another Ether Gust is pretty good. Alright, we are going to Wildborn Preserver, which I guess we didn't need to do right now, and pass turn, and now we can actually trade with this Carnage Tyrant and Ether Gust the Questing Beast, or the Lovestruck Beast again. Sure. Sure. Alright, we will make a token. We will pay 1. We will go to blockers, block and block to kill the Carnage Tyrant, take 1 from it. Then we want to block, actually we want to block like this, and Ether Gust the Paradise Druid. Put that back on top. Take 1 damage from all this, from the Carnage Tyrant. Get the Carnage Tyrant off the board, get everything else off the board, and they only have the Lovestruck Beast. And now we're drawing live to anything here. We can just make tokens to deal with this Lovestruck Beast. So if we can draw our Distant Melody here, we will be super happy. See, they get in. We'll absolutely trade a token plus Wildwood Tracker for this Lovestruck Beast. Imperious Perfect is so good. That's insane. Being a lord that also just pumps out tokens for such a cheap price, just 1 green mana. Oof. Really good. One from my favorite block too, Lorwyn. Lorwyn was so cool. Like, look at this art. Like, it's still definitely an elf, but it's so different. It's got, you know, the satyr horns, and they have like the sort of imperious face, but they're kind of beastly too. Such a cool set. Oh, okay. Opponent juked me while I was paying attention to the art. Got that free value, but we will Distant Melody here. We should have drawn 1 more card. And Hinterland Harbor, and I think we're just gonna pass, keep Ether Gust up so we can't lose, and pass turn. And if they draw something crazy here, we can just Ether Gust it. Otherwise, we'll just Ether Gust the Lovestruck Beast. Pelt Collector, whatever. Yep, feeling pretty good about where we're at now. Hopefully losing that 1 token won't come back to bite us. If we somehow lose by exactly 1 elf token, I'll cry, but hopefully not. Alright, bounce back the Lovestruck Beast. Put it back on top, sure. Visionary. Draw a card. Ooh, Overcome. Alright, we're just going to go wide this turn and then Overcome next turn. Paradise Druid, and go to combat, and we'll attack an attack. Alright, we'll just attack with everything except the perfect so we can make another token. And then, if they just let all this through, that should make Overcome, yeah. Should make Overcome pretty lethal next turn. This is our kind of, because we don't have the budget for the other lords, this is kind of the best we can do. Oh, you don't want to do that, opponent, because now they can't cast the creature, the sorcery half of their Lovestruck Beast. They probably want to just make regular mana. As cool as that Castle Garenbrig is. Yep, they undo. Alright, make a 1/1, sure. Lovestruck Beast, and I think we win here. I'll do the math just to be sure, because they do have a significant amount of toughness on the battlefield here. Alright, so we're going to have 5, 10, 14, 18, 22, 26, 30, 34 minus 5, it's 29, 27, 25. Yeah, okay, this is super lethal. Alright. And they're dead. Alright, yeah. Unless I just completely suck at math, they should be dead here. Alright. We overcame them. And yeah, budget elves looking pretty good here. Even, you know, all the rares in this deck are from standard, so even like kind of a powered down version of elves here. We just kind of crushed this Monogreen Stompy deck. Game 2 they did come back at us pretty well, but yeah, I think Game 1 we crushed them. In this game, I mean, they did get us down to 2 life, but once we stabilized, it didn't feel close at all, right? They just did not have the card advantage to keep up with us. Sure. Like, they had the big threats, but once we traded 2 or 3 of our little threats for each of their threats, we were able to refuel, and they just, that was it. They were out of action, and they were just top decking, so having this card advantage is, you know, in Distant Memory and Beast Whisperer and Elvish Visionaries, that's what won us the games, so sweet. Took down Doug McSlugs, or whatever his name was, with a Monogreen Stompy deck with our Blue-Green Elves deck, so sweet. On to the next one. Alright, up against Greenleaf. Ooh, on an Omori deck. We will play first. And we wish we had a 1-drop, but we are going to keep this. We got a lot of 1-drops in our deck, so usually we'll have one, but it's one of the rare times we do not. But we are going to run out this Elvish Visionary. I kind of wondered about whether we should do an Omori elf deck. It is nice to have your elves reduced by 1, but I thought Distant Melody was too powerful of a card not to run. I think I'm going to do this Wildborn Preserver first, actually. Because eventually we can start putting counters on it, and it's a little bit better of an attacking threat. Thalia, sure. Wildborn Preserver. Okay, here I think we just perfect. Don't put any counters on it. Attack in. That is a little annoying. It makes our Distant Melody cost 5 instead of 4, which is pretty brutal. But we do have Beast Whisper as our other... Okay, I think this is a Winota deck, which is annoying. Because we really don't have removal. I mean, at post-sideboard we have some stuff we can do, but pre-sideboard not so much. I think we're actually going to Paradise Druid here. Paradise Druid. We could try to hit a land, but I think we'd rather do this. Decline. Pelt Collector. Decline. Get in for 3. Maybe we should have attacked with the perfect too, because if they have a Winota here, we want to get that war boss off the battlefield. Yeah, I think in retrospect I should have attacked with the perfect. I think that's actually a trade we'd want to make, the war boss for the perfect. Alright, they're just going to go... Another war boss is whatever. We don't care about that. It's just Winota is the scary card. Wow. Okay. Yeah, here we will eat it and eat it. Take 2. We're probably going to have to at least trade one of their war bosses here, not to just die. I think we will attack and attack. And attack. Like this. Kind of want to play the Beast Whisper, but I think we just need to put enough pressure on them that they can't Winota us. Sure. My opponent just trades. We're okay getting those things off the battlefield because it depowers their Winotas. Then we'll go Elvish Visionary. And don't make a tokens. Okay, Wildwood Tracker. Do you want to do that? Yeah. We'll do Wildwood Tracker because that lets us decline. That lets us... Okay, we wanted to sprout... Oh, we can't Sprouting Renewal. Oh, Thalia. Thalia. I was thinking we could also Sprouting Renewal there to crank out one more elf, but forgot about Thalia. Land of War. This is definitely a Winota deck, so they'll have the Winota mana next turn, so we need to just put super pressure on them this turn. So what's the best we can do? What if we attack with everything? Then they block the Imperious Prefect. Okay, well, we're gonna attack. Sure. Opponent takes 6. Yep. We could have made a token there and pumped up our Preserver, but I think instead we're just gonna go Tracker and decline, and then Sprouting Renewal for 4, make a 3/3, decline, and alright, here comes the Winota, but they don't have any non-humans that are attacking, so yeah, okay. So I think they've just been struggling on mana. I'm sure they've had Winota in hand, so it's probably turn 1. So, alright, and if we attack with everything here, they block, die. Yeah, they could have a shock or something. I mean, they do get to eat our Imperious Prefect with first strike damage here, but they should still die unless they have some way to gain life. I think even if they kill a creature, and especially if they don't block our Wildborn Preserver, we can flash in our other Wildborn Preserver. Okay. Alright, that was a little risky because first strike on Thalia does mean our Lord dies before the rest of our creatures hit, so it reduces our damage a bit. So this is, yeah, we're going to bring in our Aether Gust. I think this is Winota. I can't imagine what else this would be. Probably go down the Reclamation Sages. Not quite the matchup for them. I kind of want to bring in the Disdainful Stroke, but it's not really the deck for it, I don't think. Then we'll go up to Sprouting Renewals. Go down, probably go down a Distant Melody. I think we just want to be kind of aggressive here, as aggressive as we can be. So we'll go down the card advantage a bit and run it like that, especially with a Thalia. We know our opponent's running Thalias. We probably don't want to be running Distant Melody. I mean, 5 mana is a lot harder to get to than 4 mana. Alright, game 2 against Greenleaf, and yeah, we'll keep this. Got 1 drop and a 2 drop. Aether Gust will eventually be good. We don't have the blue mana for it right now, but we should be able to find it. Sure. Wildwood Tracker. Our little Goblin Guide. I say that facetiously. This is not a Goblin Guide, but as close as we got on our budget. Okay, Pelt Collector. I think we will Visionary. Draw a card. Try to hit our blue mana. We can try to answer this Winota. Alright, they're just going to Bone Crush. Bone Crush our poor lad. Sure. Draw a card. Spellbreaker. Sure. We don't really have any... Ugh. Yeah, we've drawn pretty poorly. We've drawn all forests, so... we not attack. All forests is not what we wanted here. We got nothing to do this turn but play a 1-drop. Take 4. Yeah, if our opponent can just play out big threats, we might be in a lot of trouble here. Distant Melody. Another blue spell. Ooh. Alright, well, Beast Whisperer. Grow our Pelt Collector, and no attacks. Yeah, we might be in trouble here, though. Probably just trade these 2 for a Bone Crusher. As bad as that feels. Just to keep ourselves alive a little longer. I don't think we can take 8 here. Tonto Vanguard. Okay. Oh my gosh, we've drawn, I think, literally all forests. We won't scoop. I was this close to scooping because we're virtually dead here. Yep, take 7. Yeah, this has just been not the greatest series of draws. We've just gone forest into forest into forest into forest. 2 blue spells in hand. Well, Sprouting Renewal is not going to get it done, unfortunately, and it's not even a creature card to trigger our Beast Whisperer, so we'll scoop it up. Yeah, that was I think that was more just variance than anything we can really take away from that game. We just drew incredibly poorly. Do we want to bring in Destiny Spinner? We want this against counter decks, but I guess just a 2/3 body's not the worst thing. I think we'll just run it back. All right, last game against Greenleaf on their Umori deck. We're gonna keep. This could end poorly if they have removal for Llanowar Elves. We could just immediately lose. But we do have Llanowar Elves into Elvish Visionary to hopefully draw into other lands. So there is a lot of upside with this hand. It does show the power of this deck, though, that you can potentially keep. Like, this doesn't feel like a stupid one land keep. You know, it's not just I don't want to mulligan, I'm going to keep this one lander. This does feel like, you know, we have good card draw to get us to the next lands, and also we at least have 2 mana before, you know, especially going first before our opponent really has a chance to disrupt us, unless they're like running shocks or something. But if they're just going to like try to stomp us with the with the giants, that's not so big of a deal. All right, and our opponent just scoops the match, huh? Well, we're not going to complain. I mean, that's a free win for us, sweet. But don't know. That match felt pretty close. The game 1s and game 2. I mean, it felt like this could really go either way. But maybe they just got scared of the elves and ran off. All right, on to the next one. Okay, playing some budget elves against Kingdom 229 on a Yorion deck. Blech. I don't think we can keep this. Okay, much better hand. We are going to keep this Reclamation Sage. I think we'll go down, I guess, one of the Visionaries. Visionary is so good. Maybe we could go down the Reclamation Sage. I think we do, actually. That feels kind of weird, because Reclamation Sage is good against this deck, but Visionary is so good. Let's see what our opponent's on. Getting to go first is nice. Yorion, it can't be anything too fair. You know, I mean, that's not true. It could be like a Blink deck, but I don't think it's a Blink deck. Yeah, and here, yeah, we're just gonna run out our Imperious Prefect, pass turn. Opponent is on, Abzan? Oh, 4-color. Okay, I don't know what our opponent's on. So here we will, yeah, Prefect. Get him for 5. And pass turn. Let's see what our opponent's got. Uro, okay, just gain some life back. So they're just on 5. Oh, are they playing Niv Mizzet? Pachuca Bog, sure. Maybe they're playing a Niv Mizzet deck. That would be kind of cool. So we could Distant Melody here to protect against Wraths. I think we're going to go Elvish Visionary. Llanowar Elves is nice. And I think we just... yeah, opponent scoops it up. Alright, we were just going to attack in there and play the other Elvish, our Llanowar Elves, so I don't really know what our opponent's doing. But I'm going to go up to Disdainful Strokes. I imagine whatever they're doing, they got to have some good spells. I mean, we can, if anything, we can just hit their commander with it. I kind of want to go up Aether Gust. I don't know. Mystical Dispute might also be good. We just really didn't see enough to know what's going on. I guess we go up to Mystical Disputes. We go up like a few. We're gonna go down some of the Distant Melodies. One of the Overcomes. Probably the Sprouting Renewal. We don't want to go down too many creature spells with these Beast Whisperers. Maybe like one of the Wildwood Trackers, like that. And run it like that. Alright, so last game we just Lord won. So let's see if we can do that again this game. We are going to keep. And here I think we'll Temple, try to get a land out of the way. Okay, we did get a land out of the way, which is nice. And then next turn we can hold up Wildform Preserver plus Mystical Dispute, which we will do rather than play this Paradise Druid. Okay, they're going to do nothing, that's fine. Run out this Wildworn Preserver, opponent's going to Growth Spiral. Okay, they're a Field of the Dead deck. Oh, are they a Scape Shift deck? Rotro Raggy. Yeah, Paradise Druid. I think we do put the counter on it. I mean, we don't want to give away that we have this Mystical Dispute. Get in. And if they just run out like Yorion this turn, then whatever. That's fine. I can't Scape Shift yet. Okay, they're just going to Golos. We couldn't have countered that anyway. Alright, so they're just like the Golos Field of the Dead deck from Standard long ago. We can Reclamation Sage blow up their Golos, which is nice. And it's what we're going to do. So we're going to Reclamation Sage. Blow up their Golos. Decline. We're showing our hand a bit here, but I think we want to keep up the pressure. We want to keep the pressure. We want to keep up. Okay, well, Storm's Wrath isn't what I expected. Okay, well, that's not great. We will Paradise Druid, Forest, and pass turn. We do have a... I mean, this Mystical Dispute can do something, right? If our opponent tries to do anything too crazy. Okay. Counter with Golos. What now, opponent? Oh, that's what now. Alright, probably not going to beat the... Probably not going to beat the Field of the Dead, unfortunately. No attacks. It's just too much. They're going to be... Oh yeah, I'm going to make 4 tokens off of this. We'll see what we draw, but I'm pretty sure we're just dead here. Yep, opponent gets up for 2. We got to be a little more aggressive. That Storm's Wrath definitely saved them. I'm just going to run out the Yordion as a 4/5. Sure. Alright, Wildwood Preserver. Okay, Llanowar Elves. Now, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure, we'll go up 6. If they got an answer for a Wildborn Preserver, probably just scoop it up, I think. Sure. And if we attack here, they just throw a bunch of 2/2s in front of it. So I think we don't attack. Maybe we can jank them out with an Overcome if they attack in with all these zombies. Okay, well, Ulamog does it. Alright. Our opponent got us. Gonna have to be a little more aggressive. That was... We were in a position where we had to basically just hope they misplayed anyway. So let's go up the Wildborn Tracker. I don't know. I guess maybe the other Mystical Dispute. Just go up 2 Disdainful Strokes, 4 Mystic Disputes. Maybe we go down all the Overcomes. We just want to be aggressive and like counter anything too crazy they do. Maybe we're gonna go up to even the Destiny Spinner. If we go all aggro, no distant melodies, and let's try it like this, yeah. Let's go down a Reclamation Stage 2. We're just going to go as aggressive as we possibly can with counter backup. We're going to be basically playing the Delver of Secrets plan. Just going to try to play little threats and hold up counters for their big stuff so we can kill them before they can deal with it. So we'll play first. I think we are going to keep this. Definitely not the best hand ever, but we can do what we were just talking about. Hold up Disdainful Strokes after we have some little threats come down. Alright, Breeding Pool tapped. Arboreal Grazer, that's actually really good. Not only does it ramp them, but the body is not insignificant. Alright, pass turn. I was just going to cycle a bit, sure. Oh, they don't have another land. Okay. Run out Wildborn Preserver. Okay. And we'll just Elvish Visionary here. Pay the 1 mana to make it a 3/3, so that I can get through this Grazer. Ooh, another Elvish Visionary, nice. Next turn we'll probably Elvish Visionary and hold up Disdainful Stroke. Well, and that's assuming they hit lands. Okay. Yeah, Hinterland Harbor. Elvish Visionary. Draw a card. We are not going to pump it. I'm going to leave up Disdainful Stroke. Beast Whisper's not bad. Get in. Yeah, they get the free block on the great. Oh, they're actually going to block. Sure, the Wildborn Preserver. Sure. See what they got. I mean, they were missing land drops for multiple turns, so they might... Okay, they did hit another land. Rejuvenator. Sure. Yeah. We'll just Visionary here. Hope to hit a 1-drop. We hit a 1-drop, we could... I guess actually... We're just going to pump this guy. Is what we're going to do. Yeah. Rather than hope we hit a 1-drop, we're just going to put the 1 extra mana on this dude. Okay, he's just going to jump. Get in, and we're going to hold up this Disdainful Stroke and pass turn. See what they got. Sure. There's still a couple of lands away from Field of Ruining. Cavalier. Yeah. Gonna counter that. And... Yeah, I think we just hit him as hard as we can here. Destiny Spinner, which is a human actually. Okay, our opponent scoops it up. Woo! All right. Oof. So we put the pedal to the metal. Our sideboard plan was actually correct, I think. We just recognized we were the aggro deck, and we took out everything except aggro and counter spells to kind of disrupt them while we beat them down. And yeah, I think we just had them up against the wall here. And even if I think actually we misplayed by playing this Destiny Spinner because we want to grow our Wildborn Preserver to at least 5 toughness for their Wrath. So what we should have done is actually just played the Beast Whisperer and used the 2 mana to pump up our Wildborn Preserver to a 6/6. I forgot this was a human, and it has to be a non-human for Wildborn Preserver, but also our opponent might not have realized that. Our opponent might have thought we were about to pump it, and that's why they gave up. So anyway, we took it down. We took it down against a Yorion 5-color Field of the Dead. I mean, Field of the Dead is a messed up card. It is banned in multiple formats, and it was banned in Standard, and it was banned in this format until they brought it back off, and I think everybody agrees that was a mistake, and we still beat it with our little budget elf deck, so sweet. Awesome. On to the next one. Alright, playing some budget historic elves against Iamra, and we will keep this. This is pretty good. We got a 1-drop into a 2-drop into a 3-drop potentially. We do have this tapland, which complicates things a little bit. Probably go double 1-drop into a 3-drop rather than, play this turn 1. I think getting his Pelt Collectors out, backed up by an Imperious Perfect, potentially is really good. So commune with dinosaurs. I guess our opponent's on some sort of dinosaurs deck. Yeah, we'll just run out the Pelt Collector. I mean, if we do draw a 3rd untapped land here, we can go Pelt Collector into Elvish Visionary into Perfect, which is pretty good. Let's see what they got. Alright, they're still communing with dinosaurs, sure. Marauding Raptor, alright. Not 100% sure what our opponent's doing. I don't believe I've seen this deck before. I think we'll just play it safe. Part of me wants to go Elvish Visionary to try to hit a land. An untapped land. Alright, Reclamation Sage. We haven't seen anything that makes us want a Reclamation Sage, so we're just going to go Pelt Collector here. Next turn we can go Perfect. Or potentially, whatever we draw. We're getting to the point where we should be able to cast almost anything, We have our 4 drops, but with these Elvish Visionaries, we're almost certainly going to be able to hit our land drops. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to run out the Perfect while we got a chance. Slam in for 4. This is a little scary. It makes dinosaurs cost 1 less, and also it can tap itself to give a dinosaur haste. So they could potentially drop a big dinosaur here, give it haste, and smack us in the face for a bunch. Especially if that dinosaur... It's been a while since I played against dinosaurs. Historic isn't something I play very often, so... Ixalan is something that's more in the past for me than something I play against regularly, so... But I do remember there's a 5-mana dinosaur that makes a token when it enters the battlefield. I think it gives all dinosaurs haste, so they could cast that here, give it haste, and still have the token back on defense, so that would be pretty rough for us. Let's see. Okay, just the Marauding Raptor for 1 mana. Not bad. So now their spells are reduced by 2. Okay, Ranging Raptors for 1 mana. Ooh! They're kind of going off here. And they do get to get their Marauding Raptor haste here, so... Ooh, and a Shifting Ceratops on top of that. Man. Alright, so our opponent had a pretty good series of draws there. Or rather, not series of draws, a pretty good hand there. Wow, they gave the haste to the Shifting Ceratops. That's surprising. I would expect them to give it to the Marauding Raptor. Alright. Here I think we will Elvish Visionary, draw a card. And Wildborn Preserver's not bad. I think we just go Breeding Pool untapped. And we want to Elvish Visionary and keep drawing, or do we want to flash in this Preserver? I think we'll flash in the Preserver. No attacks. The Preserver pumps up our Pelt Collectors too, because it'll actually be 3 power when it enters the battlefield, thanks to our Perfect. So that just gives us, across the board, it gives us like 5 power and toughness, so we can clog up the board pretty well here. Our opponents, this is going to be the battle of, them trying to go over the top of us versus us trying to go super wide. I can give Galta haste here. Raging Raptor, sure. We do have a trick up our sleeve with this Wildborn Preserver, though, and we have a way to recover. If we need to just throw a bunch of stuff in front of this Galta, that's fine. Raptor, okay. I'm just gonna play Raptor Hatchling. It dies. They get a 3-3. Sure, sure, sure. Now, imagine they give the Galta haste here. So they just ran out their whole hand, sure. Triceratops, I'm gonna give it Trample. Go to combat. Alright. Now we can flash in Wildborn Preserver. That pumps up our Pelt Collectors. Wildborn Preserver's gonna trade with his Marauding Raptor. Do we wanna... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could kill this Galta. I think we take the hit from Galta this time, and instead we will block and block and go down to... Yeah, go down a good chunk of health here. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do it like this. Take 12 to the face. We want to keep our board kind of wide here so they can't just go around us. We would have liked to kill the Galta, but I think we need to preserve our board a bit. Okay, Elvish Mystic is, or rather, Llanowar Elves is good. Alright, play this, draw a card. Untap land would be great. Oof, no one, okay. Wildborn Preserver. I think we have to Elvish Visionary and try to hit an untap land. Well, that's not an untapped land, and it's not really what we want to be casting here. So, play this, yeah, put this at the bottom. They might have just Galted us here, though. Hasty Galta was pretty bad for us. No attacks. We might be able to stay alive. It depends on what they rip here. We're gonna have to throw, like, so much in front of this Galta. And also block everything else, essentially. We might be able to block just enough to survive. We'll see. Alright. Getting in with everything. Alright. So... 5... 6... Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't think we can survive this, actually. Yeah, we're dead. Alright, let's scoop it up. Alright. Our opponent just had the Galta. Unfortunately, we almost stabilized enough. If we had an untapped land there, I think we could have survived that turn, but so they definitely going to bring in the Ether Gusts against this opponent. Anything else? Probably go down some of the Reclamation Sages. We didn't really see anything that made us want Reclamation Sage. I guess a Sprouting Renewal. A Sprouting Renewal is actually probably a little better than a Reclamation Sage if we don't want that end of the battlefield ability. And Disdainful Stroke, maybe. It's just they're able to cast their Galta for such a low amount of mana. I don't know if we can leave up Disdainful Stroke consistently enough. And they also have dinosaurs that can't be countered. Yeah, I think maybe this is our best. We just bring in the Ether Gusts. Alright, let's try it like that. See if we can get off to a little bit faster of a start this time. We almost stabilized. We were getting there, but I think we just needed another turn or two to really grow our board out a bit more. And that Galta just put the screws to us too fast. Alright, we will keep this. Alright, Llanowar Elves. Llanowar Elves is a pretty busted card. Being able to play with it again. It's been at a standard for a little while now, and it is disgusting. Alright, opponent's just digging for some land. Sure. Ooh, that's a good one. But this turn we're just going to go Wildwood Tracker, Elvish Visionary, fill up our board. Oh, and Perfect's really good. So next turn, we'll have to decide what we want to do. We do want to fire off this Distant Melody before we start trading. Well, we can go Perfect here, but the only thing that can really get in is the Tracker. So I think we're going to wait one more turn, get down this Beast Whisperer, and no attacks. And next turn we can play the Perfect and get in with the Tracker. And if our opponent does just clog up the board too much, we don't want to get in, well then we're in a good shape by having this Beast Whisper down to just start growing. We might even just fire off the Distant Melody depending on what exactly our opponent looks like they're doing. Because if we're looking, like, if they play aggressively enough that we're like, okay, Ripjaw Raptor, it's not super scary. They do get to draw a card. That's pretty good. Alright. Yeah, I think we just play, yeah, we're gonna, because we can play two things this turn, we're gonna go Perfect, draw a card. Play Breeding Pool, play Paradise Druid, draw a card. We're just gonna go as wide as possible. And yeah, we can't get through this Ripjaw Raptor. So our opponents, we're kind of in the same position as last time. Our opponent's going to start going big, and we're going to start going wide. It's just a matter of who kills who first. We are going quite a bit wider than our opponent is going big, so if we can draw a few more lords or maybe our overrun effects, we can just kill our opponent on the spot. Okay. Ooh, that's a rough one. 1 mana fight spell. Opponent gets to draw a card and kill our card draw, but we do have Distant Melody, so we've kind of already gotten all the value we needed out of Whisperer. Ugh. Okay, well that was a little rough. Our opponent had removal for both of our best cards. Let's see if they get in. That does mean they're not developing the board, at least. Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, Dinosaurs seems like a real deck here in here in Historic. Seems pretty good. Marauding Raptor was kind of like the missing piece to Dinosaurs, I think, that they... It wasn't in Ixalan, it was in M20, you can see in the symbol there. So they kind of didn't bring it in until after the fact, until Dinosaurs were about to rotate. Okay. No, we're not gonna... We want as many creatures on the battlefield as we can get here to benefit off this Distant Melody. I think we're gonna just do that now. Play Paradise Druid, play Distant Melody, draw 5. Being able to draw 5 in our aggro deck is super great, and now we can just trade aggressively. I think we will... Oh, I guess we could have actually played one more creature before we did that. Okay, well, we're going to play the Wildwood Tracker here, and pass turn. Yeah, I think I could have drawn one more card there, but hopefully that won't be that big of a deal. It's Registrar Alpha. That's the card I was thinking about before, so this comes in, makes a token, gives other dinosaurs haste. That's pretty good. It double pumps the Marauding Raptor. We can kill that now, though. Alright, and then they kill the Hatchling, which makes a token, yada yada yada. Yeah, Marauding Raptor really is the missing piece, I think. If we had any removal at all, we'd probably be in better shape. Alright, so we're just going to trade. We are going to kill this. Actually, we'll do it like... To save a little bit of damage, we'll do it like this. Then we will block here and block here. Like I said, just trade pretty aggressively here, because we have so much card advantage at this point. We just want to stay alive. We are still taking 7, but we do get a lot off their board. Okay, here we will play Pelt Collector, play Wildworm Preserver, play... Did I already play land? Yeah. Play Elvish Visionary. Yeah, I'm gonna pay 2 here. 1, 2. With the Llanowar Elves and the Breeding Pool. And pass the turn. Put up as much defense as we can here. Trying to get to the long game. Star Alpha, pretty good, sure. Especially with haste. But it doesn't have trample, so... Oh, they got something else too. Okay. Huntmaster, probably the least scary 2-drop they could have here. Alright, here we're going to go here and here. Go here, chump, here, chump, and take 5. That kills us. I wanted to kill that Ripjaw Raptor. Maybe we just can't, though. Alright, we'll just do like this. Go like this. This, and that's the best we can do, I think. Yeah, we're kind of getting crushed again. Yeah, opponent gets to draw a card, sure. Okay, we're just going to have to chain it together here. Elvish Visionary, we need our lords. Wildwood Tracker, Distant Melody, draw 3. And we are dead. Alright, let's scoop it up. Alright, here we are. Oh, it's Doug Sluggins again. Alright, I guess we have a rematch. Hello. Alright, I'm not sure about, I'm playing in an event here, and I would expect to not be matched against the same person in one event, but seems like that's not the case. Okay, we will, play this untapped, play Llanowar Elves, and pass turn, plan on Wildborn Preservering. Okay, opponent's going to play some busted 3-drop. That's kind of what, this is sort of kind of reminiscent of the Pioneer beatdown decks, where it's sort of just play a 1-drop that ramps you into a strong 3-drop, and Silverleaf Champion, etc. Or maybe they just play nothing. Okay, that's kind of weird. Alright, yeah, we'll just play Prefect. Yeah, you know what, we'll, no, actually, we'll pay 0. We got an actual 1-drop we want to play here, so... Pay 0. Get him for 3. Alright, we've gone pretty wide. I mean... Reclamation Sage... Okay, Vine Mare, sure. I mean, that's pretty much just a 5-3 against us. Go to combat, attack with Preserver. Yeah, pass turn. See if they block with a Vine Mare. They see the play. Okay, I thought they saw it, but... Alright, so they're just gonna... Sure. What we could have done there is made a token with Imperious Prefect and pumped our Wildborn Preserver to 6 power toughness, so the Vine Mare actually wouldn't have been able to kill it. But instead, because... Okay, well... Reclamation Sage coming through. Sure. And we're just gonna... Wildborn Preserver. Flash that in. Pay 2. And then we're gonna just chump with the Wildborn Preserver. Yeah, and go to combat. Attack, attack. We do want to play... Yeah, like this. We do want to play a Reclamation Sage and leave up the mana to make a token with Prefect. So what we're going to do here is do exactly that. Reclamation Sage. Blow up the Blanchwood Armor. Alright. Play Breeding Pool untapped and pass turn. And we're looking pretty good here. We can just chump. If they have another Blanchwood Armor that we have to chump, we can do that with Imperious Prefect. Just making a token to throw away. Yeah, and so we've... Alright, Carnage Tyrant, sure. So this Stompy deck just has not been able to keep up with what we're doing. And again, it does seem like being on a play is pretty important in this matchup. Alright, decline. And, yep, go to combat, attack with everything except the Prefect, and that should be game. Sure. Alright. Okay, so, took down Doug McSlugs again. I think we're just going to sideboard the same way we did before, bring in the Ether Gusts, bring in, probably go down the Reclamation Sages, go up the Sprouting Renewals, and that's it. Yeah, just run it like that. Alright, Doug Sluggins. Game, I guess, 5? I guess we keep this. It's kind of slow. And our opponent is on the play, which is scary. Okay. We will go Wildwood Tracker here. We do that rather than the Pelt Collector because if they play a creature here that pumps the Pelt Collector, we can still trade with the Wildwood Tracker. Actually, I guess we can't. We need another non-human on the battlefield. Alright, well, we will Pelt Collector. Temple of Mystery. Okay. Actually... I don't know. I guess we'll put it at the bottom. And pass turn. May be forced to trade here, but at least we have the option to do so. Sure, still leave champions. I'm gonna pump up both their Pelt Collectors. We can trade with our Wildwood Tracker. Okay, never mind. They're just not gonna attack. So we're gonna perfect in that case. Pump up our dudes. Do we want a Sprouting Renewal to run out? Yeah, I think we're going to. Sprouting Renewal. Run out of 3/3, which also pumps up our Pelt Collector. This does kind of put his shields down a bit, but we are gonna trade with the Pelt Collector. Okay, they have the Galta. Sure. We are gonna trade with the Pelt Collector. Galta's pretty bad for us, for sure. Do we even Distant Melody here? Do we need to just make a token? So how are we going to block if they attack in here? We gotta block the Galta. We might just be dead. Turn 3 Galta, or 3 mana Galta rather. About as good as their deck can do. I think we draw here. I think we're going to have to draw our sideboard card to deal with this, and we didn't draw it. So we'll pass turn. I think all we do is try to stay alive here and then hope we can draw into... Ooh, Questing Beast. Alright, well that was as good as their deck gets right here. We're just dead. Yeah. Even if we do draw our sideboard card, we're going to die here. We're not going to try to block our way out of this one, so... Yeah, even if we did draw an Aether Gust off the top there, we were still dead, so... Scoop it up. I mean, Disdainful Stroke's really the only way we have to answer with Galta, but... It's not great against the rest of their deck. Really, like, the only greater than 3-drop they have is Questing Beast. And Galta. Yeah, I think we just run it like this. We just have to hope they don't get off to as fast of a start, or we get off to a faster one. This is really just a... I think going first is a big deal in this matchup. So we will play first. Okay. Alright, we'll keep this. Not a fast hand. Opponent's mulliganing, though, which is good. So hopefully we can sort of card advantage them out again. Temple of Mystery. I don't think we want that right now. Put over come to the bottom. I think we just want more bodies right now. Pelt Collector, sure. Elvish Visionary. Renewal Elves is nice. If we draw another 2-drop next turn, we can Renewal Elves plus 2-drop, and then also convoke out our Sprouting Renewal token. And then we're set up to Imperious Prefect and just put a ton of damage on the board. Ooh, Aether Gust is really nice. So that's not quite what we had in mind, so... I think we Imperious Prefect. Sprouting Renewal gets cheaper and cheaper the longer we go, so we don't really... We're not in a rush to run that out, so I think we play the 3-drop that doesn't get cheaper. Sure, Pelt Collector. Sure. Alright, we will Llanowar Elves. We will make a token. We will Sprouting Renewal. Get him for 2. And now we've gone pretty wide. If we draw a Distant Melody, we are in the money. Still leave champion, sure. Pumps up the Pelt Collector, so they really can't attack still with this 3/3 on the battlefield. Oh, perfect. Is perfect. We will Aether Gust, still leave champion. Let's see what they do with that. They're probably tempted to put it back on top. Okay, but we're fine with that because now we get to perfect. Grows our dudes even more, get in with everything, and now they are just well under the gun. Probably shouldn't have attacked with that perfect. Oh, they're just going to take everything? Well, I guess they just give up. Okay, so our opponent... Oof. I don't know. It's debatable about whether we should have attacked with this perfect or not, because it is our lord. If they double blocked here, they technically would have stayed alive and also killed our perfect, but then what are they doing, right? One of their Pelt Collectors is dead, so they're going to like play another 2-drop play, or play another 1-drop play to still leave champion, or, you know, they don't got much going on. They probably have a Galta in hand, I imagine. And again, like, if they can spit out a Galta turn 3, turn 4, that is pretty good. We can't really chump our way out of that one, or it just takes a lot of elves to add up to 12 toughness to fight against that Galta. But we kind of beat them to the punch. I think if I remember correctly, every game we went first, we won, and every game they went first, they won. So I think this is just a race against these two decks. A little bit different if we do draw the Ether Gust, because like that, being able to disrupt that Steel Leaf Champion means that any Galt that they have in the hand is also disrupted. So it becomes more a little less of just a race when we actually draw our Ether Gusts. But on the whole, I think it's just he's doing powerful stuff. We're doing powerful stuff. He's going kind of tall. We're going kind of wide. It's just a matter of who kills the other one first, and that it was us both these matches. So sweet. Hopefully we play against someone who's not Doug McSluggins. All right, and this is the finals of our historic event. I might not show all the matches. Just I don't usually make my videos that long, but I might. I don't know. It might be nice to see the whole thing. But we will play first. Up against Vecna's Left Eye. I don't think we can keep this hand. It just does nothing. Okay, this is actually a much better hand, I think. We've got card draw to dig us out of our mulligan. We got turn 1 ramp. I think we'll go down the Paradise Druid, I think that's the least important card in this hand. Llanowar Elves, pass turn. Next turn we're probably just going to Pelt Collector plus Preserver. Okay, opponent does the same. So this one's for all the marbles. If we win this, we win our whole historic league, which is pretty awesome. Run out Wildwood. Well, we probably should have done that instant speed now that I think about it. But it's okay. Hopefully we won't be punished too much. Winota. Definitely a Winota deck. Which is there, and it's not good for us. Okay, Prefect's definitely a nice draw. Pay 2 life. Prefect. We won't pay. They just untap in Winota here. I think we just lose, honestly. Yeah, I think we just put the pedal to the metal. I think we just have to. If they untap in Winota, they are going to get to Winota twice, but they're going to be able to do that no matter what we leave back. It's kind of arguable that we should leave something back to trade with the Legion War Boss, eat the Legion War Boss, etc. But I think we just gotta make it so they really don't. Okay, we are going to eat this. We're trying to be so aggressive that they have to chump with the War Boss. Is basically where we're at. We could Distant Melody, but I think instead we went to Elvish Visionary. And our opponent scoops it up. Wow, we were going to be able to pump our Wildborn Preserver. Okay, so we played that right, I think. We were so aggressive, our opponent couldn't leave their combo pieces alive to actually trigger the Winota. So definitely go up all the Ether Gusts. Ether Gust seems fantastic here. Do we want to go Disdainful Stroke? It hits Winota, but what else, really? Maybe the fact that it hits Winota is enough. I think I'm not going to go up the Disdainful Strokes, but I am going to go up the Ether Gust. They deal with Winota pretty well. Go down, maybe a Distant Melody, maybe 2 Distant Melodies, and a Sprouting. Actually, Reclamation Sage, I don't think it hits anything. So we'll take out all the Reclamation Sages, go up the Sprouting Renewals, and run it like that. Alright, oh yeah, we will definitely keep this. We got turn 1 Llanowar Elves, and then we got Ether Gusts forever. Being able to deal with the Winota is definitely key. Alright, they've got the turn 1 Llanowar Elf too. I think we do. It was arguable we should have ran out this Wildwood Tracker to start beating in our opponent's face. Okay. Opponent is hoping we kept that Llanowar Elves with nothing else to do, but unluckily for them, I think we just want lands. So we're gonna... yeah, we're gonna Llanowar Elves. And pass turn. I think Llanowar Elves is almost always the right answer. Now that lets us... yeah, there's a Legion War Boss, sure. But we can Ether Gust that next turn. Nope, no blocks. Okay, Wildwood Tracker. Wildwood Tracker. And... ugh. No attacks. I think actually what we'll do is... instead of leaving up Ether Gust, I think we're actually going to take a turn off here. Pelt Collector, Sprouting Renewal. Build up our board as much as we can, pump up the Pelt Collector. This does mean they get to potentially play a Winota here and kill us, but I think we are just... they don't have the white mana. They don't have the white mana. Questing Beast, okay. Questing Beast isn't good, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Okay. Yeah, we will just eat one of these 1/1s. We can Ether Gust the Questing Beast, so... Distant Melody is pretty good. Do we want to Ether Gust now? I think we'll actually just pass the turn. Plan on Ether Gusting this questing beast at the start of their combat. I guess after they attack is fine too. Lava Coil. Sure. Arboreal Grazer, sure. Maybe they'll get super aggressive here and attack with the War Boss. Ether Gusting the questing beast isn't the most powerful thing in the world because it has haste, but it is something. It basically eats up a turn at least. Make sure they don't draw Winota next turn or a white source if they already have the Winota. You know, it's possible this is just a Gruul deck. I've been thinking it's Winota, but I mean, we have seen white mana, right? There was white mana in game 1? I'm pretty sure there was. Opponent's thinking long and hard about this attack step. They probably know we have something. We've been pausing as they do everything to consider if we want to Ether Gust yet. So they probably are aware we either have Ether Gust or something they need to worry about, and they're trying to figure out the best way to navigate this situation. Or maybe we've just drained all hope from them. The knowledge of an Ether Gust coming has just drained the hope from their heart. I don't know. Man, is this going to be the second person who just like quits the match in this historic league? I mean, this people pay coins to enter this. Like, I would think they would want to play it out. Man, I don't know. Maybe our budget blue-green elf deck is just a little bit too much for historic to handle. I think this is the second person we've had just kick their computer over and leave the match. Come on, opponent. Come on. I really would like to play this out. I mean, even if we lose this game, we're not looking in the best shape this game, but we still got one more game after this, and we'll be on the play, so... Okay, yeah, they just attack with a 1/1. We'll eat that, sure. And we will Ether Gust their questing beast. Alright, sure. Ugh. Yeah, I think we'll just Sprouting Renewal here. Make a 2/2. And leave up Ether Gust again and end the turn. Ugh. We really need to draw some lands here. If we could just hit one more land, we could Distant Melody or we could Beast Whisper. We would be in good shape, but haven't quite got there. I still don't know if our opponent is even in the match anymore, because I think it like automatically passed their turn after they ran out of time, so they may have just rage quit. The Ether Gust may have just frustrated them to such an extent that they quit the whole league they paid money to get into. So, alright, an opponent just scoops it up. Wow. So we destroyed them game 1, and I guess, I don't know, they seemed like they were in pretty good shape this game comparatively. I mean, they weren't in great shape. We had another Ether Gust to deal with our questing beast, and they were kind of doing a whole lot of nothing on the board in the meantime, but I mean, they weren't dead or anything, and we did still need to hit a land to really go off. Once we hit a land here and we're able to Distant Melody and just like draw a million cards and play them all out, we would be in really great shape, but we weren't quite there yet, so they still had a window to kind of deal us some damage, despite our Ether Gusts. So, but they just scooped it up. I guess they just didn't want to play against this deck. So sweet, we will we'll take it, and I believe that means we have won our historic league, which is pretty fantastic with our budget deck. So let's see. Yeah, we got 5 wins with our budget elves deck. We got double our entry and also some cards. So we did lose one time. Again, I don't know if I'm going to show all the matches. I mean, maybe I will, but it's just typically I don't show 6 matches worth of content in one budget video, but maybe I will. Maybe it'll be more cohesive like that. But let me just claim our prizes, see what we got. We got a Mythic. Okay, Gishath, not in Standard anymore, but we are playing a Historic event, so cool Mythic, and we also got Vivian's Invocation, Final Parting, so bunch of cool cards. Gishath is an awesome commander. It's like the dinosaur commander, so if you're into Brawl, cool card. And Vivian's Invocation, also more of a commander card, I think, than a historic card, but still pretty cool. And Final Parting's just okay. Anyway, alright, so we won the league with our budget elf deck, which is pretty amazing. I didn't expect us to actually win, but this deck felt really, really good. It felt very powerful. So now we'll talk about potential upgrades you can make to make it even more powerful, more competitive. It's pretty easy in this deck. You don't have to think too hard about what upgrades to make. Basically, you can just search for elf and sort by rares and mythics, and you have a pretty good idea. So you want to be playing Elvish Clancaller. This is the card we're missing out on in this deck by not playing any rares from Historic, by only playing rares from Standard. Elvish Clancaller is the card that we would want most. It's a 2-mana Lord, which is just key in any tribal beatdown deck. Having a 2-mana Lord is what kind of puts you over the top, is what kind of is like, okay, we made it. This is a real deck, is when you end up with a 2-mana Lord. Like you saw with like Spirits. Spirits were sort of a, you know, a low-tier tribe for a long time. They get a 2-mana Lord, and immediately they're propelled to one of the best tribes of all time. And it's just, having a 2-mana Lord is just so key. And Elvish Clancaller is exactly that. It pumps up all of our creatures +1/+1, and it's even a payoff for having a ton of mana. You can go grab other copies of Elvish Clancaller, so it's kind of both sides of what elves do. If you just play a bunch of little 1/1s, it gives you benefit. If you make a bunch of mana, it gives you a benefit. So it's everything. Elvish Clancaller is absolutely the first upgrade to make in this deck, and it is so good. And you can get rid of these Wildborn Preservers once you bring in the Elvish Clancallers. Wildborn Preserver was basically our way of filling the same void, right? Where we have some payoff for having a ton of mana, but Elvish Clancaller I think just does it better. Marwyn the Nurturer is fantastic in our deck, so she gets a +1/+1 counter every time we play an elf, and then she can add green mana equal to Marwyn's power. So face value, that's like, okay, you know, you play a couple elves, she can tap for 3 green mana, that's kind of cute, but it doesn't say equal to the number of counters on her, it says equal to her power. So if we have Marwyn out, and we have our Imperious Prefect, we have Elvish Clancaller, you know, maybe she's at 3 or 4 power, so she gets to tap for a lot of mana very, very quickly. It allows us to kind of explode out our hands, can really benefit our Beast Whisperers by making that much mana, because once you're at the point where you're making X amount of mana instead of just a set amount of mana per turn like this deck is right now, you know, really, we can ramp a little with Paradise Druid and Land of War Elves, but we don't have any way to like kind of make just an explosive amount of mana. That's what Marwyn provides. Marwyn provides a way not just to make, you know, 1 or 2 extra mana a turn, but to make 5, 10 mana per turn, you know, so, and that really allows you to go off with Beast Whisper. So yeah, Marwyn, definitely want to run, you know, 3 or 4 copies of Marwyn. Steel-Leaf Champion is just an extremely powerful threat. A 3-mana 5/4 that can't be blocked by power 2 or less. It's just so big, so cheap, and it's an elf, right? So if we have Steel-Leaf Champion out and we have a Lord or 2, it just becomes this unbelievably back-breaking threat, and especially if we can just run out multiple of them. So Steel-Leaf Champion, not legal in Standard, but very, 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 very good card. And then there's Res the Redeemed, there's Thorn Lieutenant, there's Fauna Shaman potentially if you want to try looking into that, although this isn't really the deck for Fauna Shaman, I don't think. You can use her to go grab your Lords or whatever, but I think there's probably better things to do than Fauna Shaman in this deck. You know, you can just decide if you want to go like a green-white direction. You can bring in Amara, a little more go-wide. You can bring in, you know, Tolsimir to fight, have some removal in your deck, which this deck is actually pretty significantly lacking, and it did hurt us quite a bit not to have any removal. So Tolsimir would be a way to do that. You could go, you know, Azoni the Thousand Eyes. You could bring in the Poison Tip Archer. Would be pretty powerful if you go super wide with Poison Tip Archer. This would be really good because if you go super wide and, you know, you hit your opponent down to 10 and they're like, all right, I've got the Wrath in hand, but if I Wrath them, I die, you know? Like, that's kind of what Poison Tip Archer provides. Very difficult for your opponent to deal with you going wide, right? Right now, our deck kind of wants to just draw a bunch of cards, so if we get Wrath, we can kind of rebuild. But Poison Tip Archer kind of goes about that a different way. It says, I'm going to build up super fast, and if I get you at a low enough life total, then, like, you can't kill my stuff, or you just die. And so that really puts our opponent in a desperate place. So there's a lot of different directions you could go with Historic Elves, right? You could go Golgari with Poison Tip Archer, a Glowspore Shaman, stuff like that. You could go Selesnya with Amara and Tolsimir. You could go like mono green, you know, lean more into the Steel Leaf Champions and etc. You could stay on this plan, sort of mono green splashing blue, and you could still probably run the Steel Leaf Champions or whatever. Just cut this island, only run these blue sources that are blue and green, and you'd probably be fine. And there's just so many ways to go with it. Really, the sky's the limit. It's whatever you want to do. And it should function pretty well if you stick to this same sort of core package of Land of War Elves, Elvish Visionary, Imperious Prefect, Beast Whisperer, like kind of whatever you want to slot in as far as green-black, green-white, whatever you want to do, it should behave pretty well. Just slot in a few more rares and the deck will be fantastic. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for our budget historic Simic Elves deck. Distant Melody was awesome. This has been a long time since I played with this card, so it was very fun to play with it again. Elvish Visionary, one of my favorite cards of all time. Imperious Prefect, super cool card from my favorite set of all time, so I kind of love this deck. I probably will just make the unbudget version myself and play around with it because it's a lot of fun. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching because I enjoyed playing. This has been 2D, and I'll see you next time.